Airbus approach runway 26 left. Floor vector to the paddock port and induce landing runways runway 26 left for large aircraft and runway 26 right for light aircraft.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bryan Air podcast. As always, with myself, Brian Rosevier, and the man, the legend, Ryan Perrock.
How's it, guys? Yeah, yes. It's good to be back, man.
Yeah.
5 weeks.
5 weeks, eh?
Yeah,
We deserved it.
I think so.
We needed the break,
Mm.
but now we're back with a vengeance. And obviously, you might notice a small change on the show. Brett's not with us today. Brett's got quite a few other commitments on the go at the moment. And he is still involved with the show. He's going to do quite a bit of work behind the scenes for us. And he will be on the show every now and again. So, if you enjoy Brett's content, you'll still find a lot of it here. But, we are pushing it in a very pilot, very aviation-orientated direction. So that's where this new setup comes from. Looking forward to exploring it. It's a new challenge. A challenge never killed anyone, unless you try and climb Everest or something without oxygen. But anyway, it's something new, and see how it goes.
Yeah, let's hit it, man.
Yeah, look, in the break that we've had, it gave us a chance to sort of sit back and look at things from a bit of a distance. And obviously, when you're doing a couple of episodes every week, they roll into each other. You don't actually get a chance to actually assess it and be critical of your product that you've created. So there's a couple of little changes that we have affected, and more to do with the structure of the show.
Yeah.
So news, we're going to tie into. We're going to talk about the aviation news, of course, that's a big part, but we'll also try and maybe explore an area of interest in a little bit more detail. So dive a bit deeper into a certain aspect that I'm quite keen to do, actually, because it gives us a chance to explore a piece of interest there. So, looking forward to that. And then on special request, the Bryan Air advisory is born. So that's the tech tip, the productivity tip. Quite a few people said they enjoy that side of it. So we'll try to bring that in on a weekly basis. But Ryan, it's great to do that, do the show with you. Looking forward to a hell of a lot of episodes, and of course not just the studio-based show, but the live show on Tuesday evenings as well.
Exactly, but I'm super excited to be back and hit the ground running with this. The last couple of days, obviously, we've been knuckles on the ground, getting prepped and ready and sorting ourselves out to get the show going again, not only for this, but the live show as well. That 5-week break was good. I think we both needed it. There was a lot of things to sort out, not just for the show, but, back at home as well. I got a bit of an opportunity to jack up my home studio on the weekends.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing that.
I think it looks quite good, but excited. Exciting lineup coming up with some interesting guests
So
for
who
the
we
live
got
show
there?
as well. What for the live show?
Yeah.
So this coming Tuesday, John Kearney, 747 pilot, good friend of mine for many, many years. He'll be joining us. We've got Phil Parsons from SAA.
Looking forward to that.
It should be good.
Did you read this letter that he wrote?
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, no, he really touched a nerve there.
He did.
And then, coming up later in August, we've got Byron Edgington, who's an author from the States, who's connected with us. We're going to be chatting about his book that he's got a series of books, but his latest one. So it's going to be exciting, that one.
Yeah, no, very keen for that. The live show, definitely, it's been popular with quite a few people, and quite a few of the people that have watched us on that actually haven't even seen this show. So they do self-promote each other, I hope. So looking forward to that. But let's jump into it, Ryan. Obviously, in the 5 weeks that we had off, I don't know if it was good that we were off in that period of time. A lot happened. A lot of it not the most positive stuff in the world. So I want to lay it out right now from the beginning. going back and having a look at our episodes over the last year and a bit, it's quite evident to see that in the views, you can look at the analytics and you can see which episodes did really well and which ones not so well. And a lot of the time, surprisingly, it's when maybe we were a little bit negative or digging into a particular company or whatever it might be. Those episodes actually did relatively well in the view sort of terms.
It's interesting.
Surprisingly, yeah. They did.
The ones where we had a bit of a rant.
When you have a bit of a rant, they do quite well. So I've been giving this a lot of thought. What do we want from the show? And I know for me personally, I don't want to finish a podcast and then feel drained and pissed off at the outside situation. We like to be positive people, optimistic about the future, and certainly optimistic about aviation. So our aim on the show here is to be pro stuff. I don't know if you find we all we associate with the negative rather than the positive. And instead of being anti something, let's just be pro aviation. The classic one of Apple and Samsung. Instead of people being pro Samsung, they anti Apple. As a stupid example. But let's be pro South African aviation, or aviation in general.
It's human nature. It's a kind of a default setting, that isn't it? Just to it's easier to be anti something rather than pro something. It almost takes more energy to be pro or proactive. But I totally agree. I think on a personal level, we've gained a lot more from being positive, optimistic, upbeat, and more motivational from the podcast, rather than. Otherwise, we wouldn't still be doing this. I mean,
exactly.
No, for sure, man. Positivity all the way.
That's the name of the game. So if you want the negative stuff, then the show's not for you. But if you want to leave, hopefully feeling a little bit more optimistic about our country and the current state of affairs, then this is the show for you.
Yeah.
But let's get into it, Ryan. Someone posted a picture on Facebook the other day, the main ramp in Cape Town.
Yeah.
SAF Air aircraft.
Yes, that was cool.
Quite cool.
Yeah.
In one way, and another way, you start to. What happens if you're not flying for them? I assume Airlink were on the Bravo ramp or Charlie side a bit more.
Yeah, it had to.
Because they operate out of there as well. It was early in the morning, so the SAF Air aircraft weren't out and flying yet. But it tells a big story. That picture, just I don't know how many aircraft were there, but there was a lot.
I counted 8. I think there were 8 737s. In fact, it actually made me realize how many aircraft SAF Air are actually operating.
Well, that's what I was surprised.
I was like, I thought they only had 8. Obviously, haven't been paying enough attention, but what I enjoyed about that picture was, for me, it was a true example of the success of our privately owned companies. And if you look at who's flying at the moment, SAF Air, Semi, Airlink, they've shown true resilience. And it's just, I enjoyed that. It's remarkable. Yeah,
something to be proud about. Airlink, as per usual, they just carrying on with their business.
Yeah.
Adding routes and all the time, doing really well. The guys and girls are flying hard there. They haven't let up. And I suppose if you're looking for job security and you're a pilot in South Africa at the moment, there's probably no better operation than Airlink and SAF Air, I suppose you throw in there. Lyft, they operating again, aren't they?
Yeah, they've started operations again this week, so it'll be good to see them back in the sky. And also, don't discount Semi. It looks like there's a lot happening there. Sounds, by words on the street, bit of expansion going on, and they've actually been on a bit of a recruitment drive.
Yep.
So a few of our ex-colleagues are starting to...
SAX version 2.0, you said to me the other day.
It would seem that way. But yeah, it's nice to see that some of our ex-colleagues who have probably in the country been the longest on the ground are starting to find their way back into the flight deck. So, man, I'm finding that very, very optimistic. To me, it indicates that perhaps we are on the start of a return to normality.
Yeah, the Semi is quite remarkable. If you think about, if you go back a couple of years when they were grounded, even this before COVID, issues with the CIA, and they have just carried on, and they're pushing out a good product. You know what I like about them? You know what I notice about them? Is every morning you go onto Facebook or Instagram, and one of the employees has shot off a picture. You know, they've got nice livery now. The aircraft are painted really nice. And there's this real brand awareness inside their organization. And it's so nice to see. Everyone that's flying there at the moment seems happy with their job. And it's great to see that, you know, put on Facebook in the morning. Laura's always posting pictures, but there's this element of being proud of who you work for. It's really, really nice to see. So well done to them.
Yeah, well, I mean, Laura is one of them. I see one of their pilots is quite active. I think his name's Andre
De Beer, I think.
Yeah.
He's some awesome pictures that he takes. And let's face it, Ryan, they have, Miles has been quite astute in employing some very, very highly qualified, highly capable people in the right positions. Ian Finley's there, Bill Good is there. Yeah, like they know what they're doing, and the pilots that have gone across as well. I know Stu V. Russell started there, and Brian Unner's there. They're all great guys, and they're all good operators. So they're setting up a nice company, and long may that continue.
You know, I found it ironic. I was thinking about the same thing you mentioned a little bit earlier, but going through those pictures the other day, everyone that's there at the moment is obviously, they seem quite happy. And I thought it was so ironic. How was it that 2 years ago you could be employed by SA Express earning a whole whack of money, but people in general were unhappy?
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like the other way around. Guys aren't getting paid what they used to, but they're back in the flight deck. But although things are very different, they're happier. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of our story for today, isn't it? I mean, that's what we want to dive into. You came up when we started prepping for the show, and you know, one of the topics you mentioned is what we're going to talk about next. But before we get there, obviously, what's happening to everyone in Mango right now is just unforgivable.
Yeah.
The guys haven't been paid. And when we look at that, it brings up a lot of the feelings and sad emotions that we had when we weren't paid at SA Express. It's an awful feeling. It really is. It's just it's a horrendous feeling. That idea where you don't know where the next paycheck's coming. You start trying to make plans, but your banking institution's asking you questions that you can't answer. It's terrible, and it's unforgivable because it's not necessary. It's just not necessary. The money was allocated, and I feel really, really sorry for those guys. And again, there's been a real brand awareness about them as well. I saw Sean Purvis posted a picture the other day. All the Mango guys and girls got together. They met, I think, in Motorfontein there. And none of them were having a beer. And it was nice to see. They're sticking together. And if I'm going to be critical about us at SACS, it was probably that where... But if you think of the timing, our salary at SACS, 25th of March, it was supposed to be paid. I think on the 24th or whatever, the first lockdown started.
Yeah.
So no one was interested in what we couldn't do anything, and it was a terrible time. But I really do feel for the Mango guys and girls, and I just hope that they come to their senses there at DPE, and either they merge them with Lyft, if need be, or whoever the low-cost arm of SAA version 2 is going to be, and they continue. We do not want a whole whack of airline crew unemployed again. It's just not on. It's just unnecessary. So your thoughts out to them, and we certainly supporting the Mango guys and girls there.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. So the headline here. So all right, SAA, they reached the deal with the pilots reached the deal with SAA. That happened a while ago
Mm-hmm.
during our break. And SAA they have set up they've got their management team. It's there. You can go check it. Names are all available. There's a couple of very, very competent people in there. Whether they stay there or not, we don't know. There's some indication that not everyone in those positions has accepted those positions just yet. So we'll see about that. But anyway, Ryan, I don't really want to go into it. I really don't. In a way, if our role is to report on what is happening, it's very difficult to report on what we think is going to happen. In fact, we should not do that. I don't. You kind of have to say, well, let's see where this goes. Let's see what they can produce. We don't actually know. I do not know enough about the subject to actually go in and have a rant about it, if it's going to be a rant. I was never working there in the first place at SAA, so it doesn't I wouldn't say overly affect me. I feel very, very sorry, of course, for everyone that's lost their nice position there. But that story.
No, I agree. Let's leave that alone for a while, and get back onto it when there's something worth talking about there. Because I just feel that, first of all, it's changing too much.
Every day.
It goes from one sort of side to the next, and I think it brings about more negative connotations than it's actually worth. So let's leave that whole subject
deal
alone for a while, I think.
Yeah. So until something happens, when they announce routes, what they're going to do, there's talk of them starting with cargo, what aircraft, and how involved Global will be in that. I mean, Global is a seriously good company with seriously competent people with good backing. And I don't see them doing this whole venture unless things are perfect. So maybe there's a positive to it for everyone here, jobless without flying jobs. Maybe it opens doors later down the line. We'll have to see. But I'm not going to dive in too much about it. We spoke about it a hell of a lot in the previous series, if you can call it that. So pretty much done with that. What I'm not done with, though, unions stave off final liquidation of SA Express for the 6th time.
I've lost count.
Yeah.
Not interested as well. I'll be honest with you. I've buried that in my head. I honestly
Done.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's done, but again, it's just prolonged.
Nothing's gonna come of it.
Yeah. There's various reports around the world. America is well on its way to a full aviation recovery. Quite an interesting article the other day where they were talking about what's happened there is you've had the airlines. We concentrate on aircrew and flight ops, but the airlines have obviously let people go in various departments. So now as things are ramping up and things are getting more busy, you're stuck in the situation where obviously delays and things like that, they add up, but the departments that normally deal with these things are no longer there or far reduced. So yeah, delays on some busy American routes over the holiday period are inevitable, and they're now rushing to get the staff required back into those posts. I suppose the same will happen here on a much more reduced scale. I mean, every time you see someone, walking through the airport, they take a video and show you what Johannesburg Airport is like. I mean, every one of these companies has to prop up their staff again to accommodate for various things like these delays. Obviously not such a problem where you're on such a reduced schedule, but when things do ramp up, as they have in America, it does create this snowball effect. But it's good to see the America or the United States on full steam ahead with their operation.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, not only are the adverts for thousands of pilots, or the need for, I think it was some, the last article I saw was about 5,000 pilots, but they've also shot out a recruiting drive for another 4,300 air traffic controllers. So like you're saying, all the supporting roles behind the airlines. I mean, It's really positive to see. Not only the States, I think the European side starting to
Yep.
show some recovery, especially now the summer period. There's some very positive articles coming out from that side of the world as well.
Yeah, there was a Bloomberg article: grounded pilots swamp aviation recruiters in fight for jobs. There's still a few airlines that are taking chances and seeing what they can employ pilots for. That's inevitable.
Yeah, I'll actually touch on that just now because, I mean, some of those articles, I think they shouldn't even be given 2 seconds worth of time. It's
I
just
agree.
a lot of waste. But we'll chat about that later.
I agree. No, newsworthy stuff that's happened that we want to mention now. From a travel perspective, we can go transit via the UAE now. We can't
Yes.
go there on holiday.
No.
But we can transit through on flights. So those of you that like, walking 10 Ks through a smelly Dubai airport, you can now do that again, or you can just fly direct.
Yeah.
But that is an option. You cannot, you can't stay in the UAE though. It's so political around. I mean, I think Nigeria now you can actually stay there, whereas a couple of weeks ago you couldn't even transit through. So how they come up with this stuff, who knows?
I don't know. Hey.
Janet Klutter, she supports us on the live show all the time, and
Yes.
on this, she puts together this Excel spreadsheet, the whole whack of countries on there with the current restrictions and what's happening. An amazing amount of work. She sent it to me. Yeah, looking through it the other day, I was quite amazed to see what's happening. But
Yeah.
huge amount of work that goes into something like that. So thanks, Janet, for that. We'll keep an eye on it because gives us a good indication, not only from what's happening in the aviation and travel industry, but for us here at SimAero as well. Our clients need to be able to get here and they need to be able to get back home.
Yeah.
So information like that, quite valuable. And I hope she's selling that stuff off to the travel agents because it's really up to date. I mean, to the day.
Really, huh?
Yeah, very, very cool.
She
So
was.
thanks for that. A Dash 8 crash landed in... did you see that one?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Skyward Express.
Yeah, they had gear issues.
Did they do their recurrent training, those guys?
Not yet.
Definitely not sure. Indigo reports a quarterly loss of 426 million. And it goes on. And a bit of repetition as to how we ended the last season, I suppose. But inevitable. Like I said a couple of times, if you want to know what's going to happen with aviation, then you need to watch what's happening in America, because things do tend to follow there, and there's a lot going on. I mean, their numbers for last month were better than they were in 2019. It's remarkable. So it really does give everyone a lot of hope and a lot of satisfaction even reading those articles. But let's get to it, Ryan. Let's get to our story of the week. You lead it off because it was your idea.
Yeah, look, I think having taken a bit of a break for the last 5 weeks gave me a bit of a chance to catch up with some old colleagues and a lot of my mates, obviously most of which are pilots. And it was a bit of an eye-opener to see where everybody is right now. Let's call it, 18 months into this whole ordeal. And I was just amazed at the range of guys. How some guys have actually found success, some not so much. We've obviously had a few of my mates who've managed to hold on to their flying jobs. They're still doing very well. And every time you speak to these guys, they constantly remind you how grateful they are. And it was like, yeah, you should be.
Yeah.
But, the guys are very appreciative to still have their flying positions. The other group, some mates who've gone and taken things in a totally different direction. They've decided to leave flying alone for a bit and are actually doing quite well in other avenues. Other guys who've managed to stick it out for a bit and are starting to find their way back into the flight deck right now. And then there's a unfortunate group of guys who are stuck in the wrong age group for this to have sort of happened. And I realized it's actually a bit of a dilemma that we're facing for guys, let's call it over 55s to 60s, chatting to some of these old colleagues of mine, the guys are really stuck between a rock and a hard place, which I can't help feeling bad for them. They're almost too old to get back in or wait for a decent flying position, but not old enough to have stashed up enough money to retire comfortably. And that I think is the group of guys that are going to battle the most out of this pandemic phase, which is what I want to talk about. Kind of send out a message there, tell these guys to stick it out, stay positive, something will come
I think
right.
the initial shock is gone. That you don't have a flying job, what are you going to do? That's now gone. Then now we're in this phase where you literally have to be on a path somewhere else, whether it's in aviation or not. And I think what you're saying is that's so true, that some guys have found themselves totally out of aviation, and not all of them are happy. Well, a lot of them are not happy, and it's obvious, but they're in very, very difficult situations where their lifestyle was geared around an aviation job and an aviation salary, and it's very difficult. But there's a lot of guys, we mentioned Seme, that are finding jobs back in the hot seat. So
Slowly but surely,
it's happening.
It will happen, yeah. But again, it was like leading me towards that article you were talking about, where guys are rushing out. Obviously, there's 1,000 and million pilot CVs getting sent out to all the recruitment companies at the moment. Of course, there's. And then there's a question around that at like what. Sorry, let me correct that as well. There's some articles where they say there's this massive pilot shortage looming, which I think is bullshit. There won't be a pilot shortage for a long time.
No.
But what there will be is an experience gap.
Yeah.
I can see that coming.
No doubt.
If you look at what's happening, the regional airlines still doing okay. Eventually, when there are bigger legacy airlines that start expanding again, operating, getting back to normal, these regional guys are going to lose the experienced guys to those airlines again. The natural sort of flow of aviation, like it usually goes. And that's going to, I see, lead to a massive experience gap.
Yeah, that is the scary side of it. And it's across the board.
Yeah.
You said a lot of guys will go back to legacy carriers, and do you think the guys will do that? Do you think their fingers have been burnt with these Emirates type contracts? And a lot of them work great and they look after a wide range of things. I mean, schooling for your kids and all that stuff. So first of all, is that gonna go back to how it was? Or have the airlines now learned that you can't tie your employees into something as deep as what they were? And the rigmarole of being there, losing your job, having to bring your family all the way back. We spoke to Jason Northwood about it a couple of times. It's intense. I mean, the stress level for something like that is massive. I mean, moving house in the first place is one of the biggest stresses you can give to yourself. So I just wonder how the guys are going to. Do you find the guys now operating a 1900 at Seme? Do you think they're going to, at the first sign of a job opportunity at Emirates, shoot across there? Or has this now made us a hell of a lot more aware that what you need is a flying job, cool, but man, what do you need on the side? A side hustle.
Yeah, exactly.
You need a side hustle. This has opened up the door to a side hustle.
Yeah. No, definitely. There's a couple of my mates who I've been speaking to who have realized this. The guys, funny enough, who have managed to hold on to their flying jobs throughout this whole period. A lot of them, I think, have seen, by virtue of what's happened to a lot of us, like, no, the need for a side hustle is there, and they're doing quite well with it. Obviously getting started, but the guys are making a plan. So it'll be interesting to see how many of these things actually pull off and succeed. No doubt the guys will do well because they realize that, the need is there.
Yeah.
You got to have a plan B. But I also don't discount the fact that the guys, I'm pretty sure a lot of the youngsters out there, if there's a sniff of a job available at Emirates on an
Yeah.
A380 again, I'll bet you
They're
the
gonna
guys
go.
are going to run.
Okay, but the youngsters will go. What about the late 30s, 7,000, 8,000 hour type guys? Are they gonna go back?
I don't think so.
I
And
don't think so.
That's where I say I have this feeling that there's going to be, the airlines will be faced with an experience gap. You're going to have these youngsters, cool, 100%, join us.
Yeah.
You qualified enough to be a first officer. But when they need to start upgrading guys to command, are the airlines going to lower their standards in terms of what is required for a command pilot?
Yep.
Or because a lot of the old guys have just decided, screw it, they're out. They've either retired early or have gone into other more attractive or survival mode careers or doing something, I don't know. But
Well, the more dire your situation was, the more you were required to you have to go and do something.
exactly.
The guys, the Sachs situation was a bit like that. It was sink or swim there. So a lot of those guys have gone off. They're doing their own thing, and they will not go back into a flying job. Fine. We mentioned Emirates, but yeah, and those youngsters that shoot across to Emirates when there is a position available, the way things are now, they do not meet the requirements for a command at that airline.
Yeah.
So does that open it up to direct entry type stuff later on? So seniority is something that is going to stick around. I hated seniority. I think that is the biggest bullshit system known. It encourages.
Yeah. Well, you've seen how well it's worked out for the airlines that were sticklers for it. So.
Yeah, I mean, SAA had it done nothing. I mean, even at Sachs, I mean, there were some commanders there that should not have been commanders because, every airline's got them. You get your number and that puts you in the seat. I think it's rubbish, and it stops the youngsters from trying to do more.
True.
You end up saying, well, I can work hard, I can fly better, I can know my SOPs better, but not going to put me in the left seat any faster. Just my opinion. I threw that as a comment out on LinkedIn a while ago. It must have been over a year ago. And there was quite a few people that agreed with me, but there was a lot that didn't. And, I suppose it works so well at so many airlines for so long for those senior guys.
Yeah.
Didn't work for the junior guys, but yeah.
Who knows, man? I think it remains to be seen. I was actually listening to a fantastic, it's a new series podcast called the Alternative Airline CEO Podcast, something new, and I thought, let me try listen to it. It actually in Peter Davis, and the other gentleman's name.
He was at Spurrier's for a bit.
Yeah, these guys were CEOs of various ailing airlines in the past. And I was just listening to their theories on what they think airlines are going to be doing going forward. How are they going to survive this whole pandemic? And, to answer your question earlier, are airlines going to be able to operate lean enough, but yet still make the pilot positions attractive enough for guys to want to go across?
They're going to have to, right?
The youngsters are still going to shoot because they want to get their grubby paws on an A380 or something like that, or 777, whatever. But money-wise, the experienced guys are probably going to think twice.
You had in the States for a long time, they had very junior pilots flying the regional express sort of routes. ERJs, CRJs, that sort of stuff. Very, very inexperienced pilots. When Captain Sully had his landing on the Miracle on the Hudson, he obviously became a spokesperson for pilots, but not only that, he brought it to the attention of the public how important it was to be experienced and to be well trained. So that kind of got pushed to the side. You had to meet certain standards. And you just wonder, are we now waiting for another prang for something like that to actually happen?
Yeah.
And, obviously, no one wishes that on anything, but I just hope that we don't wait for an inevitable disaster just to prove that to operate one of these machines, you do need experience and you do need a level of certification that has been there and must remain. I just hope that it doesn't change that. But fully agree.
Yeah.
Youngsters coming out of school, flight school, they go and get a rating on anything, and ERJ, and next thing they operating their aircraft, and very shortly after they in a captain's seat, and then bang, they're off to a big airline.
Yeah.
So
we've seen it before in aviation, and we'll see. I mean, although this pandemic has hit things, and made it a complete game changer, but I don't know. It's going to be a fascinating topic to keep an eye on, man.
What I don't like, though, the chances that some of these recruiters take.
Yeah.
I mean, you got one crowd that is accepting payments from first officers to operate there, to keep their licenses going. I mean, like stuff like that is just ludicrous, and it's going to come back and bite them at some point. Is it Atlas in the cargo operation that had the issue with what they were paying their pilots?
I think so.
I mean, they had a walkout. I mean, how bad can it actually be where these guys, they've got jobs and they don't want them? The pay is so bad. So, there are jobs around. Not all of them are great. But it's something we need to watch, and certainly from our side, we'll try and keep everyone up to speed as to what's happening there. I took a little bit of a different look at what I wanted to talk about this week. I'm quite interested in what the manufacturers are doing.
Yeah.
And obviously, the two manufacturer kings, Boeing and Airbus. Boeing, they've got a $14 billion hole that they're trying to fill, and they're not making enough planes right now to fill that hole. However, they did manage to show a profit last month, not on their commercial, that's this quarter, sorry, not on their commercial airline side, but on the company as a whole. They do have quite a clever accounting system that they use, and it all works on predictions and basically forward accounting.
Yeah,
I did my best to try and make sense of that accounting program. But it didn't happen for me. I couldn't. My matric accounting never gave me enough of an understanding of what the hell they were actually talking about. But basically, it works on there are going to be a certain amount of expenses incurred when you produce a new aeroplane. Now, if you think about Boeing, let's just take the 787 as an example. This project has been a disaster. The long-term profitability is hanging in the balance right now. So, decade of deliveries, Boeing, they've earned back just half of the $28 billion in 787 production costs so far. So, they need to produce a certain amount of aircraft every month. So, it starts off, they produce 2 or 3 of these a month, right? Then they get used to, they learn a procedure, how to put these together quicker and all sorts of things. So that ramps up to 10, 12, 15 aircraft a month. When they building 10 of these a month, they're making money, provided they are going off to operators. I mean, they're currently on 5 a month. So they do not make money if they're building 5 of these a month. They've had a lot of issues with the aircraft itself, the shimmy, the whole whack of things.
It just goes at the beginning, the battery issues.
Batteries right at the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up on my understanding of the accounting system. I actually shot a friend of mine who's an accountant shot him a message on LinkedIn to say, can you explain what's happening here for me, please? But anyway, it's an interesting thing to watch. And obviously Boeing is in a situation right now where they are not the leaders in aircraft manufacturing at the moment. Airbus have overtaken them in terms of a popularity, even if it's a perceived popularity. This latest order from United is quite interesting. So United come along and they order 200 units of the MAX, which is a massive
it's a big order.
It's a massive order, which is great. And the MAX, surprisingly enough now, is a huge lifeline for Boeing. I mean, the numbers are there. It's the data, is there. It's a good aircraft, and they're going to sell a lot of these airplanes. But in saying that, United also, in parallel to that, they purchased 70 321neos. Now, United have always been a very, very pro Boeing operator. So the fact that they've taken the Maxes are no surprise, but there's now 321neos there as well as a bit of a backup. That's adding to the 50 321 XLRs that they've ordered. Now, Boeing do not have anything in that range. So the 321 XLRs will be used on the longer routes. The Maxes will be used on their domestic routes. So again, Boeing now got their fingers burnt big time for not having a competitor to that 321 XLR. But now it goes a little bit deeper when we start looking at the cargo side that we've pushed a lot or spoken about a lot. Cargo is getting massive, and it's becoming more and more important. Every month, e-commerce is going up, and for that to happen, the plane's got to get bigger and bigger. So Airbus have come along, and they will be making a A350 freighter version. So it's basically the 1000. They're going to have a freighter version of that. So already there's a huge amount of interest around that aircraft. Now, the only aircraft that Boeing can have that competes with that A350 is the 777X, which is not operational.
No.
So this is a difficult one for Boeing now, because now, bearing in mind, this A350 cargo project, this project for Airbus is the next project after the 321 XLR. So it was a 321 XLR. Now their project team focusing on this A350 cargo. Quite interesting. I can hear people already saying, they got the 747 800F freighter. It's 4 engines against the two of the 350. That's a no-brainer what the operators want. So that A350 cargo is going to be bloody popular. Will Boeing have a competitor to that type? Time will tell. It's not a given yet.
On that subject, have you seen that? I think there's a documentary on Amazon Prime called Airbuses versus Boeing.
Yeah.
It was actually a fascinating documentary. I watched it the other day. The whole history between the rivalry of the two. And Airbus they're quite jacked, eh?
They are. I mean, I don't know. I'm a Boeing fan.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
777's always been my.
Yeah.
So my phone number begins with 777, but it's always been I don't know. I'm a Boeing fan, but if you look at the last few years, it's definitely tilted towards Airbus. But if you take a closer look at this battle, Boeing are playing catch up on everything Airbus have to do. I mean, this 321 XLR, what's it, 4,700 nautical mile range.
Yeah.
And the Max cannot compete with that. So it's a real interesting one. And obviously on the freighter side, with freighters becoming I still think that's a lifeline for the pilots.
It certainly is. I mean, definitely in the States, touching on this Bryan Air, they've had to go and expand on their sort of more regional size aircraft. So they've just bought a whole whack of ATRs.
Yeah.
So they've got ATRs, 737s and 767s.
Yeah.
Catering for long distance, bigger parcels, and these smaller aircraft just shuttling around. I mean, what's next? From the ATR, your parcel get hooked to a drone, straight to your house?
It will.
No doubt.
That's a subject I want to actually dive into a bit. Are we on our live? We've got Tommy Rotenbach that's going to come have a chat with us. Well, Tommy is quite jacked up when it comes to green energy and aviation, so I want to hear what he has to say about that. But the whole eVTOL, what do you call it, market segment, I never ever paid attention to that. Really, it didn't interest me. It's just a big drone flying around, but it's happening, and the investment into those companies is happening. I think Joby, the one, they look quite they're quite radical at this stage. What they're working on is they can't get the they're trying to get the noise signature down. Because you can't land a helicopter in certain places, certainly in neighborhoods and that, because of the whole noise signature. So obviously the big pull with the eVTOL is they're very power intensive because they vertical takeoff and land, obviously, but they supposedly quiet. But the existing ones now, they aren't so quiet. So there's a lot of work going on how to get the noise levels down. It's a whole subject on its own.
No, it is.
I don't know enough about it to dive into it myself. I'd like to hear more about, basically just the green energy in aviation, what can be done. So looking forward to that too.
Yeah.
Should I get to my Bryan Air advisory?
Shoot.
I got a cool one. It's a basic one, but it's cool. Over the last 3 weeks, I have been using Apple Pay on my watch.
Oh, yeah?
Do you use it?
No, I've been too bung to use it.
It is the bomb.
Really?
Yeah.
Working.
I don't have enough money in my account for it to make a difference anyway.
That's my problem as well.
But yeah, you load F&B have just jumped. I had my one card from I think Investec. You can do it with F&B now. You can load your card. So you load the card onto your phone first, and then it gives you the option: do you want to load it onto your watch? And then it sends you a few. It sends you like a pin that you have to put in, and quick. It takes a minute or so. And then when you double click on the side function here on your watch, it brings up your wallet, your Apple Wallet.
Yeah.
And you can set whatever card you want as your default. So you got your default card there at the top. Then you go to the shops, you buy yourself a mug and bean cup of coffee. When it comes time to pay, you double tap the side button on your Apple Watch. You put the watch next to the card reader, and it beeps, and your order's done.
Seriously?
Yeah. It's
That's
cool. What's cool about it is obviously I've actually been cruising around without my wallet because I actually took a few photos of my license, and I try to put my license on there, but it's not long anyway before all that stuff's going to be on there. But it's really cool. What's nice about it, I don't know if all the banks are like this, maybe certainly with mine, if a payment is over a certain amount, you can still tap the what do you call it, tap to pay
card, yeah.
But then it asks you to still put your pin in, which is so
same thing.
No. Yeah, so it doesn't ask you for the pin.
Yeah.
You just put it there because it's got an extra layer of security there. It has to be by your phone.
It has to be on your wrist.
It has to be on your wrist. So if you take your watch off your wrist, when you put your watch back on, your watch asks you for a pin code.
Okay. Just so I'm glad you mentioned it. So just in case the baddies thought they were going to go out there and steal a whole bunch of Apple Watches off people's wrists. Ain't gonna work.
So the minute it's off your hand, you have to put the pin in, and then it doesn't work. I've tried it; it doesn't work. So you charge it at night, wake up in the morning, ask you for the pin, you put the pin in.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's the equivalent of right now, because the waiters and that they like it. What's going on? You know. So you tap it, and it's the equivalent. Remember a while ago, the guys. I of course never had one, but that black Amex card.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like whipping out that black Amex card, the one that's and this is just a bit cooler. So that's my tech tip. I really think it's
pretty
worth
cool.
it. Yeah. With everything going on with touching that keypad, why not go totally touch free?
Yeah.
You don't have to actually touch your phone on the thing at all. It's quite sensitive. And then, it's as secure can be. As far as I'm concerned, if it does get hacked and you lose your money, I've got nothing to do with disclaimers there. Yeah.
Well, on the subject of Apple Watches, I thought I was pretty clever the other day with myself. It was irritating me. You're walking through the shops or somewhere, and you got to wear this flippin' mask.
Yeah.
And you pick up your phone, but now you've got to put your code in every time because it doesn't recognize.
Yeah, you
your
told
face.
me this one. I've been using that. Yeah.
So you connect it to your watch, and it picks up, as long as you're wearing your Apple Watch. If you've got your mask on, it'll just open up your phone for you, and that for me is such a convenience. I love it.
That's brilliant. Yeah. That one is you've got to go into your phone settings,
yes,
and then do it from there.
Yeah.
But that's brilliant. I
Yeah.
hate that because you're always pulling your mask down to
man.
get your
It was a
facial
hack.
recognition.
Jeez.
But that works brilliantly.
That does.
Yeah. So it's very Apple orientated. So Apple, if you are listening to today's show,
Yeah.
we are supporting you. Yeah. So
Exactly.
shoot us a free watch. Bit of a shout out here, a call to action, I suppose. Of course, Go Aviate have been supporting us all the way, and still encouraging people to go across there and have a look at their app and their webpage. It's worthwhile, and please go and support Jason Northwood and his team there. And I got a cool thing the other day. Roxanne Scott Williams has got a company, and remember the girls at SA Express who used to moan about the uniforms?
Yeah.
There was no girl uniform.
No, they had to try and tailor a men's uniform and
Yeah.
make it fit.
And it didn't. It didn't look good.
Yeah.
So she's got a company, Dragonfly Skyway, and pilot uniforms and that for girls. They're also launching one for guys as well. So shirts and that I suppose are a little bit better, than those big baggy, massive collar shirts. I'm sure they're going to be a hell of a lot more stylish. I know they will. With Roxanne will certainly make sure. But if you want to get hold of her and have a look at what she's got a nice brochure and that. We'll also make it available. So just give us a shout, and I'll leave her details, her email in the show notes. That's info@dragonflyskyway.com. Worth it, but a cool idea. And again, this is a pilot that has a job. She flies for Airlink at the moment. She's a FO on the 145. But again, got a bit of a side hustle going. It's within the parameters of aviation. It's still there, but it's just a nice business, and it's one that's got a hell of a lot of potential. So I like that idea.
Such a clever concept. I mean, how often throughout the years, you go and order a uniform, and despite what it looks like when you go and fit it and then you get it back, you take it home, it was never, one pair of pants never used to fit the same as the other. The shirts were always either,
particularly the Woolworths ones, for whatever.
Man.
You go to Woolworths and buy, telling everyone what waist size now, but the 33 waist, the one is tight, the other one's loose.
That's my problem, because I'm too short and not tall enough, or sorry, I meant to say too fat and not tall enough, or other way around. But they never work.
They never work.
Especially the pilot shirts. It was so difficult to get
they were terrible.
A comfy, fitting, good-looking pilot shirt.
Yeah. But you used to make up for it with your good looks anyway.
Yeah,
so it used to work.
Bulletproof charm,
That's it. That's it. Ryan, I've enjoyed it today. It's been cool. It's nice to get back in the studio.
Yeah.
We look forward to doing this now. So we got quite a few episodes. This is the first one of many. So looking forward to it. If you got any suggestions for us or topics that you'd like us to chat about, then please give us a shout. Any bit of information helps. That was the big thing that I picked up when we took the break. I tried to go and watch a lot of other podcasts or listen to a lot of other podcasts and just see what they're doing and see where, we can improve. And I think, you get so stuck in a rut with this is what we do, this is how we do it. And you almost don't want to make a change because you feel like you might be letting a few of your real loyal supporters down. I feel that in this new world that we're in, this ever-changing environment, that you have to actually make a change before you are pushed to make a change.
Exactly.
You need to.
We spoke about it the other day. It's reminding yourself all the time that you shouldn't be in a comfort zone.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
So,
challenge accepted.
Exactly.
Yeah, ever-changing forms of insight, I suppose, or the infinite game that Simon Sinek always talks about. Make a change before you're forced to make the change. So, we're going to do a few more things with this show. We've got a few ideas, and we'll... Bryan Air is here to stay. So thank you, everyone, for your support. Thanks to our Patreon pledges this last month. Getting good support now. It really humbles me when those messages come through of guys that are actually pledging support to us. Really, really
Yeah.
does go a long way. And it's actually now got to a point where it's actually paying for the hosting service of the podcast, which is so cool, because at the beginning, I remember that was such a stress. How am I actually going to pay for this thing when we weren't earning a salary? So now it's I really, really appreciate that. Thanks, everyone. Tune in on Tuesday for 7 o'clock, Ryan.
Yep, this coming Tuesday, 10th of August, 7 o'clock with John Kearney.
Yeah, that'll be on Facebook and
YouTube.
So, yeah, either of those. Shoot us a comment, get involved in the conversation, ask John a question. He's a great guy.
Yeah,
And then next week after that will be Phil Parsons. So, nice lineup.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, have a
Cool.
great weekend, everyone. And what's it, Women's Day on Monday?
Yeah, happy Women's Day.
Happy Women's Day for Monday. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Lovely being back, and love you all. Thank you. Cheers.
Ciao.
Bye.